Mechanisms used by Australian flora for pollination: seed dispersal and asexual reproduction. Pollination. Pollination is the transferring of pollen from the anthers of a flower plant to the stigma of another flower plant. Three types of adaptations of pollination include wind, insect, and animal pollination. Wind pollination. Australian flora have a wide variety of adaptations of pollination, many are of which wind pollinated. Wind pollination is when the pollen is distributed by wind currents in the air. The pollen of these flora are small, light, non-sticky with well-exposed stamens, therefore being able to be lightly carried and transported by air currents. An example of this would be the Australian winter wattle. Insect pollination. Insect pollination is when the pollen or spores are distributed by insects: bees, butterflies, moths, wasps, flies, ants, and beetles. Insect-pollinated floras are much more appealing to insects from its nectar, shape, patterns, color, and smell. The Australian grass trigger plant is triggered to stamp pollen onto any insect such as the bee so that it can be transported to another flower to pick it up. Animal pollination. Many Australian floras are also pollinated by animals such as honeyeaters, bats, possums, and other small rodents. An example of animal pollination would be the Australian western spinebill. The western spinebill feeds on the nectar of the bottlebrush or wattle, and then it brushes itself against the stamens, collecting the pollen and then transferring it to the next flower it visits. Seed dispersal. Seed dispersal is the movement or transportation of seeds away from the parent plant. It has a variety of adaptations. Three that will be explained in detail are animal, wind, and self-seed dispersal. Seed dispersal. Animal seed dispersal is the dispersal of seeds by animals such as native birds that eat seeds but are too hard to digest, such as example 1, the Australian lily-pilly, and example 2, native raspberries. The seed then passes out as undigested waste, dropping onto the ground. Another example, number 3, is the galvanized hur. This seed, which is prickly, catches onto the coat of any passing animal and is then transported to the next place it visits. Wind seed dispersal is seeds dispersed through air currents. Examples include light seeds such as the Australian hovea and mountain devil. Seeds of wiregrass are also carried by the wind and come to rest, burrowing itself into the ground assisted by the wind. Self-seed dispersal are plants that eject their own seeds. An example is the Australian waratah seed pod, which bursts open when ripe and then it catapults itself onto the ground and in all directions onto the soil. Asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is the replicating by only one parent. There is no fertilization occurring. Asexual reproduction have many different types, 3 of them including budding, vegetative reproduction, and spore formation. Budding. Budding is when the parent plant produces a replica of itself through mitosis and grows as a new attached organism, forming large colonies. An example is the coral in the Australian Great Barrier Reef. Vegetative reproduction. Vegetative reproduction is the producing of new plants from the roots or stems, also called nodes. An example of this is the spinifex grass. Spore formation. Spore formation is when fungi reproduce by producing thousands of single-celled spores that germinate. An example of this is the Australian tree fern, which produces spores on the underside of their fronds. Thank you for watching.